Which quarterbacks and tight ends can you count on for week 14? And who should you keep out of your lineup if you want to win? And of course, hit that subscribe button for all the latest. And don't forget the notification bell as well. All right, as usual, we'll start with quarterback. Chris, give me a guy that you like in week 14.
Yeah, I like Ryan Tannehill a ton this week. I talked about the entire Tennessee passing game last week on our live show. I was pumping it up. But Ryan Tannehill, even in an absolute blowout, still had a huge day. And I expect another one this week because now it's Jacksonville. Jacksonville is one of, if not the best, quarterback matchups you can get. And I talked about it on our wide receiver start sit that Titans games on average are totaling 57.1 points, which are the highest in the entire NFL. The Tennessee Titans defense isn't very good, which means teams can keep up with this offense, which means this offense has to keep scoring and passing, which is good for Ryan Tannehill and the entire passing game. So if Tannehill was dropped or if he's sitting there on your waivers and you don't like the quarterback you have, start Ryan Tannehill and win your week 14.
Yeah, I know we both really liked Tannehill last week. Now they get Jacksonville. Yeah, I'll take him again. And I'm also going to take a guy who is usually kind of right there on the radar. It depends, but been passing the ball just a ton lately. Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. This offense, they've passed the ball over 50 times the last 2 weeks, even when they really didn't need to. And it's gone over 40 pass attempts for 5 straight games. So Ben Roethlisberger, by sheer volume alone, he's in the QB1 radar. And then Buffalo, I know they looked pretty good in that win over San Francisco, but that's San Francisco, which, again, the backup quarterback. Buffalo hasn't been great, really, in their pass defense. So I feel like Roethlisberger is kind of locked in there with that high floor.
Yeah, and it feels like Roethlisberger is due for some positive touchdown regression, right? A lot of drops in the end zones. A lot of times where they get down there and just don't find a way to score. And you got to think that's going to change, and this could be the week.
Definitely. Okay, not going to be the week for these guys. Who do you have as a must-sit at quarterback?
I'm going with Baker Mayfield. Look, I know he's been great the last 2 weeks, right? But that was Jacksonville and Tennessee. Now it's Baltimore. Go back, look at week 2 against Baltimore. 189 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I don't think, I know you look at what he's done the last 2 weeks. You think, hey, he can keep this going. This passing game is working. They don't want to run the ball anymore. Blah, 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 blah. No, stop it. Baltimore is going to shut him down. Baltimore's secondary is very, very good. I'll tell you what, it's a lot better than Tennessee's secondary and a hell of a lot better than Jacksonville's secondary. Not to mention, they're going to get way more pressure than either of those teams could do against Baker Mayfield. It's going to be way tougher for Mayfield this week. Don't look at the last 2 games and think, oh, I can roll him out with confidence. No, you can't. Keep him on your bench.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever get back to the point where I can put Baker Mayfield in a fantasy lineup. Not that he would be on my roster. It's just obvious, he can take advantage. Once in a while, he'll flash and have this big game, 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns against a mediocre defense, or when the game script happens to favor him. But against a tough defense, even a semi-tough defense, there's no way. And then usually a pretty solid pick, a lot of times on the streaming radar, you see Teddy Bridgewater. And it's not a terrible matchup against Denver, especially with one of their top cornerbacks out for the remainder of the season. That's AJ Boyd. But did talk about this on the wide receiver episode. If you watch that, well, you already know, going to be missing 2 of the top 3 receivers. We don't even know if McCaffrey's going to be back. Looked like he was, but there's just a lot of risk here. We don't even know who else might be out for this game for Carolina. Unfortunately, with coronavirus going around that team. So Teddy Bridgewater, you can't do it, can't trust him. I feel like this game is just going to be kind of disappointment for fantasy all around. Let's talk about tight ends now. Who do you have as a must start, somebody that you're feeling in week 14?
I'm going to go with Hunter Henry against Atlanta. I know last week he majorly disappointed, but so did the entire Chargers offense. But that was a tough matchup against New England. New England, one of the best defenses against tight ends. But if you look at the 2 weeks before that, he had 17 total targets, 115 total yards, and 1 touchdown in each of those games. I think he bounces back this week against now the worst defense versus tight ends in Atlanta. Big bounce back coming for Hunter Henry. Don't panic about last week. Keep him in your lineup. He'll get it done this week.
Yeah, there are some other players to panic about for the Chargers, that's for sure. But Henry is not one of them. And, a popular strategy is if you're feeling good about a stack, you go with it. Well, I like Ben Roethlisberger. That means I also like Eric Ebron for a lot of the reasons I already mentioned. The floor is high. And you know what? This is a good game to stack, guys. I do like Ebron. So he has been pretty solid lately. I don't mind putting him in as a starting tight end. There's just so much risk with a lot of these other tight ends just due to bad matchups. I feel like Ebron just kind of by default keeps climbing up my list. So I also have him as a top 10 tight end.
Yeah, Ebron's been really good lately, kind of going under the radar. I feel like he might even still be on some waiver wires out there. So go check if he is, especially if you're hurting a tight end. I think he's a guy you can just lock into your lineup every single week now.
Absolutely. And it's something we didn't think we would ever say with Ebron, but a pretty consistent performer. All right, not so consistent. These guys might disappoint. Some name brand values here, but who do you not like at tight end?
I'm done. I'm done with Austin Hooper. That's it. I'm done. All right. Another great matchup for Austin Hooper. The Browns put up 41 points, touchdowns, receptions for everybody except Austin Hooper. 2 catches for 24 yards. What did Baker Mayfield have? Like 400 yards and 80 touchdowns? And he got 24 yards and 2 catches. I'm done. I'm out on Austin Hooper. It's not even the matchup. Baltimore's not, they're just kind of meh against tight ends. It's not a matchup to be scared of. It's not as good as the matchups he's had the last 4 weeks, but it's not really a matchup to be scared of. But I don't care. It's a situation. I'm done. I'm done with Austin Hooper. I don't care who he's playing. I'm out.
I'm out too. I had to go back and check to be sure because it felt like he's done a lot of nothing lately, and I was right. In the last 4 games, his high in a game, it was 3 catches and 33 yards. The same game. That's not going to do it. Don't go with Hayden Hurst, though. And Hurst is just also kind of shrinking, disappearing from this offense. For the last 3 weeks, he hasn't finished as a top 15 fantasy tight end. That means there are other options out there that are better. You could stream somebody else. And, it's not a terrible matchup per se, but again, kind of like you were saying, not quite to the extent of Austin Hooper, but I'm kind of done with Hurst. He hasn't shown that he's going to be a consistent option. So I'd rather take a chance somewhere else on upside.
I'm glad you picked Hayden Hurst because I think this year, every week, I've said Hayden Hurst needs to be a sit. He's had a good game. So I'm glad you picked him and not me, but I agree with you. You got to sit Hayden Hurst.
Yeah. Again, we're talking playoffs here. You don't want to go with a guy that just has that much risk, guy who hasn't shown anything as of late, because again, it doesn't matter what he did the first half of the season. Let's look what have they done lately. All right, well, that does it for quarterback and tight end talk. If you want more specific answers to questions about who to start, who to sit, you catch us on Endgame Live Sunday morning, 2 hours before kickoff. Don't forget, guys, hit that subscribe button and catch all our latest videos. And if you haven't checked it out already, running back start sit for week 14. All right. Thanks for watching and good luck.